All right, chat room members, this is Mike here with the Watch This video for Thursday, October 26th. There's the SPY. We closed firmly below the 200-day. My famous purple line there is the 200-day. Most of you know that. Things are feeling a little bit ugly out there. We'll see. My favorite idea of the day, but it's going to shock you. Matt D gave us Sava. Was pointed out to be very strong early on, and let me zoom in a little bit to give you a better look. Gave us Sava on pullback, 5's buy zone pullback watch. I'm going to show you what it looked like. So it was this strong, right? 5's buy zone, just empty, empty, empty. Didn't touch it. So that we love that. Once you see the volume come in and something has proven itself to be strong, and an important element of that, as you guys know, is we want news behind it, right? Not some chat room pump. So once we had discerned that was SAVA, watch this first visit to the 5's buy zone. If you were bidding in the middle of the buy zone, 1635, your stop would have been about 1615. So 20 cents risk, right? Never takes out your stop. It did meander for a while, but then ended up closing really strong. And 20 cents risk, it went to 1884, right? So what is that, almost 250 on 20 cents risk? That was a great post. We see them all the time, and we want to remember. I used to tell you guys, when something's running and it gets away from me, I used to think to myself, damn it, I missed it. And now I flip my brain around and say, hey, where can I bid, right? As long as the other elements are in place. I thought that was a pretty great post by Matt, but he does that a lot. I'm going to go right into the watches for tomorrow now. All right, ALGN is an ugly chart. And then as I'm talking to you right now, it's trading in after hours, still about an hour and a half to go in after hours. It's trading at 196. So got slapped after hours on earnings. So the reason it's on watch, I don't usually, try that again. I don't usually mess with gaps down. But remember Solar Edge. All right, so here, I mean, you could argue here's like kind of the most, if you look to the left, the most recent lower is in the 180. So we'll see how it opens tomorrow. But if it opens way down, it might be like Solar Edge, SEDG, the other day on earnings, right? And put in a solid green candle and gave a buyable setup in the opening 20 minutes maybe. So remember when I said to you all, hey, let's wait for the next huge gap down on kind of a big name, right? And we'll see if it gives us a setup on the long side, right? Like, in other words, a lot of times they end up just overdone to the downside, and you can get a nice long. So anyway, that's why I put ALGN on watch. AUMN holding up pretty well, gold miner, strong day in a weak tape, so we'll see if it gives another setup tomorrow. SAVA, I talked about this one, had a nice rip today. We're going to watch for a setup again tomorrow. STGW, nice pop today, pretty strong close in a weak tape. ASPN, inside day after yesterday's rip, so I like the looks of that for a potential long. ICU, let me zoom in a little bit, give you a better look. So you had this, remember I liked it over this horizontal line, and that day it kind of closed right there and then ran in after hours. Well, it pulled back for what, 3 or 4 days, and it held the buy zones we like, and is starting to turn back up. So I do want to watch that for a potential long tomorrow. VFS, now this is one ugly chart. Remember this rip? And it's just been bleeding ever since. But when I go to 15-minute candles, you can kind of see that had a nice little pop today. And held up fairly well. I'll switch to 5s there. You can see it really did hold up pretty well. When you go to the daily, though, because this was all the way up here over 90, it kind of smushes all these days together, and it doesn't look like much. There it is on 60s. Hell, it still doesn't look like much. But I do want to see if it gives a setup tomorrow. It did have a nice move today. It's one of those that you discover by being in front of the screens all day. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have seen it, but I would point out it did have pretty good volume, right? TPST, let me try that again. There we go. Did finally flush 4, we talked about that, and then put in a green day, right in the middle of that buy zone we look for. So maybe a follow-through day tomorrow. Excuse me, DGX, I believe had earnings. I'll pan out a little bit here. And a nice pop, right? That's a big day, so, is it the day after a big day, is it worth watching the game? Well, sometimes, right? Sometimes they can have a big follow-through day. And because they had earnings, it might break out above this area tomorrow. So we'll see. I think it's worth having on a chart. BYND I've had on bounce watching. It just keeps bleeding lower. A lot of shorts in the name, but as I said in last night's video or the day before, whenever, the shorts are hardly in trouble here. but they still could fuel a snapback bounce if we get an A plus setup. If not, I won't touch it. TRU also pretty beaten up over the last couple of days, goes on bounce watch. And then ASMB, kind of my sleeper pick. They had news with Gilead back here, and I think in pre-market or after hours, can't remember. It was actually up over $2, and it's been falling ever since. And I saw today that Gilead has a 20% stake. Don't quote me on it, but I did see the form. 20% stake that I think is at $1.16. So this is getting to that really oversold, and they're tied in with a big name. I'm putting this on bounce watch tomorrow, even though I don't love stuff under $1. I think it's worth having on watch. And then this is not a call or even going on the list, but I thought I would mention Meta closed at $299.53. They reported after hours, and right now it's trading at $291.20. But let me show you what happened after hours, and then I'll get off here. Initially tanked, then ripped, and now it's just been bleeding back lower again. So I don't know. It just feels like there's a lot of underlying weakness in most things. So let's be careful. Let's wait for the A+ setups, and have a great night. I'll see y'all in chat in the morning.